They were just trying to get home. Mark and Liza Reyes, both born and raised in the Philippines, had been living in San Francisco for years. Mark, 36, worked in cybersecurity. Liza, 34, was a nurse at UCSF. Married for 8 years, they were the kind of couple people admired. Quiet, respectful, always there when someone needed help. Every holiday season, they traveled south to visit Mark's parents in San Diego. But this year's trip was different. Mark's father had been diagnosed with early-stage cancer, and they were driving down early to help with appointments and caregiving. Their car was packed with food, medical supplies, and gifts for Mark's younger siblings. On a bright Thursday morning in December, they left before dawn. Liza dozed in the passenger seat while Mark drove their silver SUV along I-5. The trip was smooth until they reached a small-town checkpoint just outside Bakersfield. That's where everything unraveled. A sheriff's cruiser pulled behind them, lights flashing. Mark checked the speedometer. He wasn't speeding. He calmly pulled over. Officer Brett Holcomb, a bulky white man with mirrored sunglasses and a military buzz cut, approached with a slow swagger. "License and registration," he said coldly. Mark handed them over without hesitation. "Any idea why I stopped you?" Holcomb asked. "No, sir," Mark replied honestly. "I wasn't speeding, was I?" Holcomb leaned forward. "Where you headed?" "San Diego, to visit family," Mark answered. Liza, now awake, added gently, "We go every year." Holcomb's eyes darted to the back seat. "You got anything in the vehicle I should know about? Drugs, weapons, large amounts of cash?" "No, sir," Mark replied again. "Just food and gifts." Holcomb's voice sharpened. "Mind if I take a look?" Mark paused. "Actually, I'd prefer not unless there's probable cause." That was his right, but it was the moment Holcomb's demeanor changed. "Step out of the car," he barked. "You're refusing a lawful request." "I'm not refusing," Mark explained. "I'm just exercising my rights." "I said out of the car!" Holcomb shouted. Mark slowly opened the door, hands visible. Liza reached for her phone, heart racing. Holcomb yanked Mark by the arm and slammed him against the hood. "What are you hiding?" he growled. "You people always have something to hide." "What do you mean, you people?" Liza asked, recording now. "We've done nothing wrong." "Shut that off," Holcomb snapped. "No, I won't," Liza said firmly. "This is my husband and you're hurting him." Holcomb turned to call for backup. Within minutes, 2 more cruisers arrived. Mark stood with his hands behind his back. Liza, shaking, was told to exit the car and sit on the curb. "You were weaving between lanes," Holcomb lied. "Suspicious behavior." "That's not true," Mark said calmly. "I was driving safely. You pulled me over because we don't look like we're from here." "You think I care where you're from?" Holcomb sneered. "You people drive through our towns like you own them." Liza kept recording. Her footage caught it all. The aggressive tone, the unnecessary escalation, the racial slurs barely concealed under the officer's words. A trucker across the street noticed the scene and began filming too. He posted a clip to TikTok titled, "Cop Harasses Filipino Couple in Bakersfield." The clip blew up within an hour. Mark and Liza were eventually let go with no citation, no apology, just fear and bruises, both physical and emotional. But that was just the beginning. Liza posted the full footage that night. Justice for Reyes exploded online. Within 24 hours, news outlets were calling. CNN ran a segment. ABC reached out for interviews. Thousands of Filipino Americans shared their own stories of highway profiling. The mayor of Bakersfield was forced to respond. Holcomb's record, once buried, was suddenly public. Dozens of complaints, all dismissed until now. Mark and Liza were invited to speak at rallies, city hall meetings, even state hearings. Their story became a symbol, A lawsuit followed, backed by a powerful civil rights firm. Holcomb was suspended, then fired. State police departments launched internal reviews. Lawmakers pushed for dashcam reforms and independent traffic stop investigations. But the greatest change came from Mark and Liza themselves. They founded a nonprofit called Safe Passage, providing resources and legal aid to victims of roadside profiling. They built a network of allies across California, immigrants, travelers, students, all committed to shining light on these silent injustices. Years later, Mark would tell their story to law students. Liza would speak at nursing conferences about courage under pressure. Their daughter, born 2 years after the incident, would grow up hearing how her parents stood tall. And every holiday as they drove down the I-5 passing that same old stretch of road, they wouldn't feel fear, they'd feel strength. Because what started as harassment